And it was some of his stuff that he said in the View over Atlantis, which really kind of stimulated my research into Earth grids, because he was commenting on how all these ancient sites, these megaliths, pyramids, mounds, and tumuli and so forth, were spread all around the world from horizon to horizon into some kind of network of ancient technology, which hasn't really been, you know, understood until the present day. We're really starting now to understand it from many different perspectives. I think one of the most important points that he came up with was the fact that the similarities we're seeing between sites all around the world are remarkable. You look, obviously the pyramids, you know, all over the world, they're the same shape and design, but you get that with dolmens and stone circles and other things as well, and then you start looking into the different possibilities of what these could have been used for. Obviously there's archaeoastronomy. They were used as celestial, kind of, to measure celestial alignments for agricultural purposes and other sort of purposes. But one of the things that interests me was the whole earth energies aspect of it. And in the next image, I kind of show some examples of how these earth energies have recently been scientifically verified by numerous researchers in America. There's a guy called John Burke, for example, who's part of the BLT research team. BLT, the Burke, Livengood and Talbot. They're part of the original, one of the original crop circle researchers, but they were actually the ones who were doing all the science on it. And actually, they were the ones who first kind of noted the electromagnetic effects within the circles. Actually, one of the things they came up with was the whole that they noticed. I think one crop circle, I can't remember which one it was, but the following year in the same field, someone went to go and have a look at it, and noticed that all the crop was growing extremely well in that particular area where the crop circle had appeared. So some kind of electromagnetic effect stimulated, you know, when the crop circle was formed a year previously, it stimulated the crop, and suddenly we were getting a better yield, more quality, you know, and it became frost resistant and things like that. So it kind of gave them a little clue as into, well, perhaps the ancient sites were actually part of this process as well, and the ancient sites could have been like generators of certain type of energy.
So you're not saying crop circles are made by aliens or anything that came down and...
No, I'm not going to... I don't really... The theories about crop circles are huge.
Okay, so there's many theories on crop circles, but what we're actually saying is that whether it's been produced by a man on a rope and a plank, or whether it's been produced by an alien ship coming down, or some earth energy, it's actually affecting the energy of the earth?
Well, I think the ones that are produced by you know, humans don't really have much of an effect. I think that's been they won't grow back faster the next year. If anything, they've been damaged. Whereas it's been proven by several researchers that some crop circles, when they've tested the stalks and actual the energy, what's actually happened to the stalks and when they've been bent at the nodes, they've actually found that it must have been from an electromagnetic source floating around above the surface. So I don't know if I don't believe it's UFOs, but I think it's more to do with sort of earth energy effects to do with geology.
Are these the really complex ones or just the simple ones?
Again, this is a sort of very grey area. It works on all different ones really, the ones they tested. So. It's getting very odd. But one of the main reason this is important is because these guys from the BLT research team started looking at ancient sites for energy signatures as well. And one of the things that keeps coming up with crop circles and at ancient sites is the orb phenomenon, where there's the balls of light which keep appearing. And they appear in everyone's photographs at the moment, especially on digital cameras. But what they noticed was that in the mornings and in dusk, when the electromagnetic or the magnetic field shifts and changes and the field lines get more compressed, they actually move around through the sites and actually build up a charge within where these sites have been built. And they found that it's actually the geology of the area can enhance and create these energies themselves. So the orbs may have been seen first, and there was a different energy there which could have been felt by the ancients, and then they built the sites to mark that. And one of the things that Burke and other researchers, like Paul Devereaux from the Dragon Project from many years ago, there's a lot of other people doing similar research over the last 20 years, starting to realise there must have been a purpose for why they were going to build these sites, because you don't put together a massive stone structure just for a laugh, or build a huge henge or Silbury Hill. You just don't do that off the cuff just because you fancy it. You've got nothing better to do. It's a focused, you know, construction project with a group of designers and a team of people who understand the geomancy of the land and are doing it for a purpose. And I see it as then it must have been a practical purpose. It must have had some practical element to it, because you don't go to that much effort for any other reason I can think of. It may have been have spiritual purposes or religious or ritual as well. But I think we're really looking at a practical, pragmatic kind of thing. And Burke and other researchers have come up with this idea that actually when you test all the energy there with electric voltmeters and magnetometers and things like that, you get these amazing readings going on, and they're actually much more enhanced at these sites. And so the question was, why?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Is that purposeful, or is that just by accident?
Well, this is one of the big questions, but one of the things, so they decided to they looked at some of the legends and the offerings that are made at many of these sites, and it happens in North America, a lot of the mound sites, and there's even dolmens and sort of megaliths, quite a lot in chambers in North America, in the New England area, which is amazing, just in its own right. I went up there last year and completely blew me away. And they did tests there, and then they started doing tests all around the world, all these different sites, and found that, so they thought, well, let's make some offerings of some seeds and grains that may have been used back then. And so they started doing that, and then going to plant them to see if there was any effect, see if maybe if this electromagnetic charge, like these orbs or whatever that they measured, would have an effect on the seeds. So they, I think that there is another image as well that kind of talks about, sort of describes this. And so what they found was when the seeds were actually placed on the sites and they planted them, compared to controls, the ones at the sites would grow up to 3 times faster. You get 3 times more yield, and they'd be frost resistant and better quality and bigger. And so we're looking at an agricultural farming technology.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and so this is something I've been continuing. I've been in touch with John Burke and Kaj Halberg, the authors, and I'm trying to continue their research. And
it kind of rings a bell with the putting things in pyramids. Energy.
Yeah. So it's similar principles, because just the geometry itself can have an effect, electromagnetic effects.
And again, so anybody who's a bit short could go and sit in the middle of a stone circle and...
It's actually, the energy we're talking about is actually fertility energy, really. It's to do with fertility, and when you start looking at
it relates, doesn't it, entirely?
And then when you start looking at all the legends of Britain and other parts of the world, there's all these ideas like Menantol in Cornwall, the circular stone. If you pass through that, it'll help you, help get you more, can make you more fertile to get pregnant and things like that.
You have an awful lot of symbolism in circles, don't you? I mean, you go to Avebury and places like that where you've got the large, what people think are the, I don't know if we can use the word on TV, but that's the feminine part, and then there's the male part, isn't there? And so you see that thing in Malta as well, and various other places.
That's true, because it's like chambers could be the more feminine aspect, and the bigger megaliths, obviously, the male.
Well, I mean, in Malta alone, when you go around looking at those big stones, there are ones that are obviously feminine, and ones that are obviously male.
Yeah, sure.
In this, mother goddess kind of temple that we believe it's to be that place. It's a fertile place. So that totally relates in symbolism, in folklore, and now you're saying in earth energy.
Absolutely, I think this is one of the keys to the secrets of the earth energies, personally. So, and other people have commented on that throughout, and there's also, and so when they discovered this, that it's not just in the chambers they first tested, it's actually in stone circles, areas in stone circles and henges, and even on pyramids with flat tops and mounds. Just somehow lots of it's all varying effects, but all working with the natural earth energies, the telluric energies which are produced by the magnetic field of the planet. So
it's like something we've forgot.
It's totally forgotten, and the fact is, they all still work. So this is a whole other aspect of this. I
don't think my PC will work in another 2,000 years, do you?
Exactly. This is it. So they were building these things with compassion in mind, to develop it and keep it working for the generations to come.
Isn't it incredible these ancestors that we terribly call, things from the Dark Ages and from the past, we really do dumb them down. We're clever enough to produce buildings and constructions which were not just archaeoastronomy, not just a line to the stars and the sun and the moon, and to the seasons and the cycles of the greatest cycles, such as precession, etc. But also in tune with the earth.
Yeah,
that's a fascinating concept.
It's like ancient geomancy, really, and feng shui, you know, in China.
The dragon's paths.
Yeah, the dragon's paths. Yeah.
So what's this about the green revolution then?
Well, this is it. Well, what I've just been talking about really does relate, because, you know, the fact that these sites work now, and you can enhance seeds and grains, and it also enhances the landscape, and this has been understood by various researchers, especially biodynamic and permaculture farmers and gardeners. They've noticed that paramagnetic rock, or positively magnetic rock, like basalt and other types, when actually placed in small, you know, pockets, either as dust or small, you know, mini liths in the ground in their garden, it actually starts reorganising all the telluric energies and actually making it a more fertile landscape, and things grow better just within that vicinity. It's the same thing with the Irish round towers, because they acted like antennas for the whole landscape. So there's this whole sort of, you know, understanding.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because the round towers have always fascinated me.
Yeah.
You know, because they were filled in.
Yeah. So they were tuning. They were like tuning.
Absolutely,
them.
that's exactly what I said. It's like, you know, you're filling the glass half full. It makes a different resonance.
Yeah,
different frequency.
And I think there's there's a guy called Callahan who did a book about that. It's a brilliant piece of work. Yeah. And but the fact that, you know, the way I see it, because I think it's important in the modern world, especially with 2012 approaching and all these potential, you know, kind of prophecies coming to fruition, if things do start, you know, going wrong, if you like, then to know this kind of technology of the ancients, how to work with the landscape to make sure you've got enough food, is a remarkably useful tool.
Absolutely.
And so you can build up these sites and actually create a new sites with the same, using the same technology, which is stone technology basically. And obviously you have to start looking at people like Wilhelm Reich's work and other things like that to kind of get an idea of, because he stumbled onto this as well, and it's the same principles we're talking about. So
we'll go more into that into the next segment. But if anybody wants to know more, this is a fascinating book which explains an awful lot of it. It's Earth Grids: The Secret Patterns of Gaia's Sacred Sites. And if people want to know more about what Hugh is up to, you can go to megalithomania.co.uk and you can find out a bit more on there. But this is a really good one. Wooden books are a really superb sort of, you know, whole range of books. They're worth looking at. But this is Hugh's new one. Find out more in that. After the break, we're going to get a bit deeper into earth energies